Hey guys, so here is your review for your next quiz over asymptotes. So here we're asking for holes, vertical asymptote, and any horizontal. Let's go ahead and handle horizontal first. Okay, so horizontal here, I'm going to write it over here so I don't mess the problem up. So we get x cubed plus x squared minus 2x all over 3x squared minus 3x. So remember, first thing you want to do is ask yourself if the degrees match. And if they don't match, remember we're going to make a match. So this has an x cubed here, so I need an x cubed down here. So we're going to add one. And that's where we look. So remember, understood 1, so it's 1 over 0 or an a. That's it. Okay. So now to answer the other two questions, we need to factor. So let's look at this first here. So notice first we have x's in everything. So what I want to do, I'm going to separate this, plus x squared minus 2x. So first off, can I get y'all? There we go. Can I get this to disappear? Nope. Okay, so we're stuck with everything. So they each have an x. So I'm going to factor out an x here. So I'm left with an x. And I'm left with x squared plus x minus 2. So the question is, what times what gives me 2? When I subtract, I get a positive 1. And we get x plus 2 and an x minus 1. So I'm going to put that right here. X plus 2, and an x minus 1. Now, we're going to do the same for the bottom. 3x squared minus 3x. Notice they both have a 3, and they have an x. So we're going to take out a 3x from both. So here's that factor. So I'm left with an x minus, remember, when all the things cross out, we're left with a 1. So 3x and x minus 1. Okay. Now, first things first, we got to ask, do we have a hole? Hole is when we have a common factor on top and on bottom. So we have that x minus 1. And notice here, we also have that x. So what we're going to do, I'm going to come over here. We're going to set x equal to 0 and x minus 1 equal to 0. So there's one answer, x equals 0. And then here we're going to add 1 to both sides, so we get x equals 1. So we actually have two answers. A vertical asymptote is when we deal with the leftover factors at the bottom. And notice we have a 3. But does 3 really equal 0? The answer is no. So this is an NA. Okay. Let me see if I can get this down. That would be a no. We can't do that either. Okay. So let's look at the next one. I'm going to write this over here. So we get x minus 3, x squared minus 4x plus 3. Okay, so we have an x on top and an x squared on bottom. So the highest is x squared, so I need to add a 0x squared to the top. This way I can look. So this will be just 0 over 1, which is 0. Okay. Now, I can't factor anything on the top here, so we're going to leave it as an x minus 3. At the bottom, what times what gives me 3? When I add, I get a negative 4. And that would be x minus 1 and an x minus 3. So, again, we want to look at the whole. So we're looking for the common factor. So we're going to have a whole there at x minus 3. Set that equal to 0 and add. We get x equals 3. Now, we're going to take the leftover factor at the bottom and set that equal to 0 and solve. So add 1, and we get x equals -1. Okay? And the last thing on this page is our piecewise graph. Okay? So I do know Mr. Ford does something a little bit different. I'm going to go with my method. His is perfectly lovely. Okay, so here I got to use my -2, and I need a number less than -2. I'm going to go with -3. So we plug these in, so -2 plus 1 is -1, and -3 plus 1, which is -2. So -2, -1, -3, -2. Because we have an equal to bar here, solid dot, and then because we came up with -3, I'm going to use that as an x, remember my guide. So -2, -1, -3, -2. Okay. Now we're going to do the next one. 2x plus 2. Remember, we got to use both of these numbers, so -2 and a 2. So it'll be 2 times -2 plus 2, so -4, -2, and 2 times 2 plus 2 is 4, 6. So -2, -2, and 2 and 6. You see both of these don't have equal to marks, so remember open dot, open dot. Okay, so -2, -2, 2 and 6. Remember, you just connect the dots. Okay, and last but not least is that -x. So we want that 2, and we need a number bigger than 2, so 3. So you see that negative, so it's just going to be -2, which is just -2. And then -3. So 2 -2 and 3 -3. Whoopsies. Closed. And then that 3 we came up with is an x. So 2 -2 closed. 3 -3. And there you go. I hope this helps, and I'll see you on the next page of the review. Bye, guys.